It's time for another episode of Local Roots. Hi, I'm Todd Studer. Maybe somebody out there can help me out this morning. I release, obviously, as you know, on Facebook and on Instagram, and I have started to get notifications that I am receiving money. I'm monetized somehow. Not a lot. I looked yesterday morning, and it said I got like 2 cents or something like that. And I went, well, let's see where it's at right now. As I'm currently talking to you, I'm going to pull up the content monetization total, and all of September earnings are 92 cents. So probably not going to retire, but I don't even really understand what this means. So, something's going on that I'm stacking up the money. Well, I'm stacking up pennies anyway. Also, you may have noticed earlier, if you haven't seen the morning coffee show, I had to pull my theme music because apparently I've got some copyright violations involved with that. I paid for being able to use it, but now the people that are the rights holders to it have rescinded that apparently, and they're no longer allowing me to use it. So I've had to pull it. I'm not getting into an argument about it. It's not that important to me. Had a few drum beats to it and some peppy music. Okay, well, there's lots of music that has that. So for now, I'm just going to kind of use what Facebook says is okay to use. And they've got little things on there. So I'll just click on it. We'll go with that. It's something new, and we'll see how it goes. I'm nothing if not adaptable. Coming up today, we are going to revisit a conversation that I had with Trooper Ryan DeVault. He is with the Iowa State Patrol. And back in May, we had a conversation about Iowa's new hands-free law, meaning, these cell phones, you can't touch them when you're in your car. If they see you doing it, they're going to pull you over. Now, right now, it's nothing but warnings, but as of the 1st of January, there's going to be a pretty hefty fine attached to it. And Trooper DeVault will talk about that. He'll talk about how many warnings they've issued so far and a lot of the reasons why this law has gone into an effect in Iowa. So something to keep in mind. If you're coming across the bridge from the Nebraska side, and I know that we do have folks on the Nebraska side watching this show, Iowa's hands-free, and they don't care what your license plate says. It's don't touch your cell phone. That's just how it is. And you need to get one. You can still use your GPS. You just need to have one of those holders or have it sitting down in your cup holder, but you can't touch it. You can't hold it anymore. You can't ever have any videos playing on it as well. So Trooper Ryan DeVault from the Iowa State Patrol will be our guest today on Local Roots. If you have a leak, a clogged drain, or you're planning a big remodel, Waldstein Plumbing in Council Bluffs has you covered. Fast, reliable service, expert craftsmanship, handling everything from small repairs to major installations. You can find them online at waldsteinplumbing.com. And when it comes time to find a home for your aging loved one, well, a call that you need to make is to Jean Bonker because she can make all the difference. Your local senior care advisor with assisted living locators in Western Iowa. She's more than a guide. She's someone who's walked that path herself. Jean helps families explore assisted living, memory care, nursing homes, and in-home options at no cost at all for her services. So call Jean at 402-690-5467. Iowa's hands-free law has been in effect since this summer, and we talked with Trooper Ryan DeVault about this in the springtime, and I thought it would be great to have you back on and talk about how things have been going. So great to see you again. Thank you so much for your time. And so before we get into what you're seeing as the results of this new law, let's remind people again exactly what this means around the state of Iowa.
Yeah, so obviously we've had an electronics device law in place for quite a few years now, but this hands-free device that they passed starting back in July definitely helps us. It's pretty black or white, right? You either have a phone in your hand or you don't. That's what that hands-free means. And then also probably a little caveat off to the side of that would be that you can't just continue to have a phone in a holder in front of you watching a video or YouTube or anything else. That all is included in that, from computers to tablets to your phones, to any device that has any type of you can't do FaceTime calls, anything that's going to display some type of a video on your screen, you can't have. So, that phone can be used still for GPS, but it needs to make sure that your uh, destination, your geographics are all entered in before you put that car in drive and head on down out on a public roadway.
Let me give you some for instances, and you tell me, is this legal or not? Okay, I'm pretty sure I know the answer to all of these already, but we're going to do it anyway. All right, so here's the guy that I see driving down the road. He's got it on speakerphone and he's talking like this.
Absolutely not. And honestly, that is a big one. I think that we see quite often. And I like to think that people are getting better at knowing the law, but they're still out there. We see them. We've written a lot of warnings, but no, that one would definitely qualify. Right, the phone is in the hand. It's not sitting down. Now, if you have that phone on speakerphone sitting in the cup holder or on a stand where it's out of your hand, absolutely, that's a legal and viable way to talk on a phone call if your car is not equipped with some of the Bluetooth newer technology.
All right, that actually leads me into another one that again I know the answer to, but let's mention it. So you've got the GPS on, you can't really see it, so you're holding it up like this just to make sure you know where you're at.
Correct. Again, is it
Don't
in
do
the hand or
it.
is it in the hand or is it not in the hand? So, obviously we know people are going to use those. They took that into consideration. It's just those points that you're going to need to be entered before you start driving. If for some reason that needs to change or you need to re-enter something else, you need to make sure you pull off the roadway in a safe location to be able to do that.
Well, and they have these all sorts of different mounts for your phone. Some of them even have a charger in them, so you're charging your phone. Although I found that doesn't work very well because it gets too hot. But it's to be able to mount it up there, so it's actually a GPS that it can be mounted to your dash. Some of them have the suction cup that mounts to the lower part of the windshield. There's a lot of different options. Are there any of those that are problematic though, that maybe are for sale and you shouldn't be using?
I'm sure there's ones out there. The biggest thing is giving yourself the visibility out your front windshield, side window. I honestly like kind of some of the ones that mount maybe the suction cup on the dash, that kind of hangs down over, let's just say, beside the radio in that area where your phone can be, because then you're not having your phone up on your dash, maybe possibly limiting your view out of the front window. But the biggest thing with those is they're inexpensive. When we first saw this law, there were some comments made out there in the public about, oh, now I have to go buy another piece of equipment for my car to comply with this, and which you don't really have to, because again, like we talked about, you can use the speakerphone in your cup holder. But I kind of described it to people as if a windshield wiper breaks on your car, you're probably going to go and pay to have that windshield wiper fixed, because otherwise it's a safety concern, right? So it's the same thing with a phone in a hand. Like, you're going to feel so much more confident as a driver being able to have both hands on that wheel instead of, the phone in one hand and, steering with your knee and a pop in the other. Obviously, that's what we're trying to avoid. We want both hands on that steering wheel. I bought each one of my kids one for their car. I think they were $12 or $13 on Amazon. I said to someone the other day, I said, think of how many times you stop at a convenience store and you spend almost $12
Mm-hmm.
on something that's going to be gone in a matter of a half hour. So it seems silly to me that people wouldn't want to go out and make themselves safer while they're driving, since it is such a dangerous task that we all do.
What have as you and the rest of the state patrol and other law enforcement have been out enforcing this new law, how widespread has it been that you're finding people in violation of it?
I mean, there's obviously that all agencies in the state of Iowa, I think, were roughly around 4,500 warnings that have been written since July 1, statewide. State Patrol, I think we're just shy of 2,000, like 1,900 and some odd warnings that we have written. So obviously it's a problem. We knew that was going to be a problem. We knew it was going to be a learning curve. That's kind of why I think when you and I spoke before, back in May, we were still 2 months out and still trying to warn people that, hey, this is coming. And the biggest thing is right now is just kind of an educational period, stop somebody and say, hey, just so you know. And there may be some of those out there that they know they can't be written a ticket until January 1st. But, and the thing I would say to that is it's a lot easier to change those bad habits now while it is a warning, because starting uh, January 1st, that's going to be approximately $170 total fine with court costs and everything. So it's a pretty hefty fine. We know that um, obviously enforcement is what's going to change some people's behavior. Hopefully, just knowing it's the law, um, getting themselves for this first 6 months acclimated with that. Hopefully, we don't have to meet up with anybody along the side of the road after January 1 and have a $170 fine. But it's definitely a problem. There's times where I feel like we see those violations. There's other times that we don't. Volume of traffic. Maybe people realize, oh, I need to put this phone down and I need to pay attention to what I'm doing. Where maybe if we're out on the open road, you start to see that head down towards the steering wheel, not looking at you as you meet them, and you have a pretty good idea that they might be on that phone. But so obviously it definitely is a problem. I don't think it's going to go away just because January 1st hits. Um, but unfortunately, $170 out of your pocketbook, unfortunately, maybe that starts to create some type of a change, because it's just a silly violation to get when we gave everybody 6 or 8 months of preparation to know that it was coming.
I'm not sure if you know the answer to this question or not, but is there states that are adjacent to us that do not have this law that maybe there'd be a little, unknown as they come across the state line?
Yeah, I'm not positive on every other state. I know that there are some bordering states. I know when we pushed for 4 or 5 years to get this law in place. In fact, since 2019, I believe is the date. But Illinois and Minnesota, I know both passed the law around that 2019 era, and they have also they've seen a decrease. That especially that first year after, they saw a decrease in the number of fatality related accidents. So we're optimistic that as this law continues to get, on the books and in place, that we're going to see that same type of life saving, I guess, effort behind this law. That obviously that's the end goal, right? To decrease our fatalities through the state of Iowa, and what better way than to get a phone out of a hand? So it's obviously still way too early to tell, just because we've only been at this for 2.5, almost maybe 3 months now. But it's definitely trending in the right direction looking at our fatality statistics.
Is there metrics that are tracked as well of just distracted driving accidents that can be reduced from this?
Yeah, I'm sure that there are. I don't know the exact numbers on those. The whole distracted driving is kind of it's a bigger picture, I guess you'd say. Like we all think of cell phone, right? As soon as we
Mhm.
say distracted driving, start thinking about all the other ways somebody can be distracted. Passengers in the car, their little dog on their lap, with its head out the window, um, putting on makeup. I mean, there's tons and there's tons of ways. Eating food, right? Picking up a drink, to take the cap off of your bottle of soda or water, and you start looking at that and you think, wow, like we are all distracted in more ways than we any of us should be. Um, and we need to start focusing that back into driving. To the thing I was talking to somebody about here the other day, we have a call-in system where we get to see copies of, or not copies, but like the written narrative of an accident report when it happens across the state. I feel like, my 27 years of experience, in the last handful of years, I've started to see a lot of the same narrative in these accident reports, at least initially, till we really dig deeper in it. And a lot of it is, unit number one, for unknown reason, unit number one crossed the center line and struck unit number two head on. Well, there's got to be something more to that. Very seldom, not saying it can't be a mechanical failure, but very seldom is it a mechanical failure. I think 94% of crashes are somehow driver related. So there's something going on in that car. I'm not pointing it all towards cell phones, but it just seems to me in the last few years that has become a common theme, at least initially on our accidents. Like it's a sunshiny day and somebody crosses the center line, like, and collides head on. So it's definitely a problem that we're trying to get ahead of, I guess.
Well, and it's quick. I mean, this is something that just happened inside of my circle, inside of a week ago. That an accident can happen, and your life can change, and a lot of people's lives can change just in an instant. And it's a cliche. Oh, it'll never happen to you, but I think we all kind of walk around with that ignorance a little bit, that it's not going to happen, and well, there's nobody out here and I can get away with this. And I'm thinking back several years ago, I got a speeding ticket in Colorado because I was going a little bit too fast. And, the trooper, or he was actually a sheriff's deputy, and he said, look, I know there's nobody else out here, but you know how many wild horses are out here? And I said, I had no idea. I didn't even know that was a thing in this area. It's the same thing in Iowa. You never know when a coyote's going to come running across the road, or a deer, or anything else, and you happen to be looking the other way because there's no cars coming. That doesn't mean that everything is safe.
Absolutely. Yeah. Or a vehicle with no tail lights on,
Mm-hmm.
or no headlights, for example, or somebody pulling a trailer with I mean, we've all seen all of those things that, had you have not been paying attention, right? Things can go from, and I tell young people, but I think it's good for everybody to remember just how dangerous driving is and how quick your life can go from quote unquote normal or whatever it is you do every day that you enjoy to now all of a sudden you're looking at taking somebody else's life potentially, or spending the rest of your life in a prison cell, or, there's just so many just tragic things that can come out of any accident, but, especially these what we call preventable accidents that, just have to do with driver inattention is a big issue.
Well, I know that this is also a big part of your job. I know you're talking with different people in the media about this, getting the word out. We're very grateful for all of the hard work that you personally are doing. And also with the Iowa State Patrol, we just wish everybody to stay safe and continue on one person at a time, I guess, is just how it's going to have to go to get the message out, right?
Yeah, exactly. I guess we have 3 months remaining until it's, I guess, go time as far as tickets and having more of a punishment than just a written or a verbal warning. So, we just want people to, again, if you're not good about it, keep trying to improve upon those ways to be able to get that phone out of your hand, put it on silent, do not disturb, whatever you need to do to get driving back into driving, because I think you hit the nail on the head a little bit ago when you talked about all of us being kind of ignorant to it, that, you may go many, many years driving and never ever have an accident. And now it feels like, oh, it's just second nature, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
not that dangerous of a thing. I tell people, I would almost say the most dangerous thing somebody probably does in any given day is get in a vehicle and drive, just because you put all those other factors out there involved in that. So, buckle up, make sure you're putting those phones down, because January 1st will be here before we know it. And, we hope not to have to write any citations to get the point across. So, but get those phones out of your hand, understand, just how dangerous it can be, and how quickly, like you said, that your life can be changed by something very, very tragic that is more than preventable.
Well, and just real quickly as we wrap up, I want to head off any keyboard warriors who were about to comment about, well, wait a minute, he's in his car on a video call. Now you're sitting in your driveway and the car's off.
I am parked. That is correct.
Exactly.
Yep.
True.
We're not going down the road talking, and you can see through the window in the back that
Yep.
nothing has moved. So
Nothing's
we're
moving.
good and we're good and legal.
Trooper Ryan DeVault of the Iowa State Patrol. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. Thank you for the hard work that you and everyone else involved with the patrol put in. We look forward to talking to you again.
Appreciate that. Thanks, Todd.
When it comes time to buy or sell your home around Southwest Iowa, get a hold of Blake Hunter, your trusted realtor with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Blake knows the local market and is dedicating to helping you find the perfect place to call home. And he has a website. It is blakehunter.com. Homes. You'll see a lot of homes that he's representing for sale there, and also a lot of the process that is involved when it is time to buy or sell a home. Blake Hunter's the guy that I trust, and you should too. Blake Hunter with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, so you can start hunting for your dream home with confidence. And Castle & Associates of American Family Insurance is your local insurance provider for all of your home, auto, life, business, and farm insurance needs. They have 4 convenient locations. You're going to find offices in Trainer, in Council Bluffs, also in Bellevue and in Elkhorn, which means they're local and in your neighborhood, ready to help you navigate the complexities of insurance today. Give them a call for your free quote. Wrapping up today's show. Again, thank you very much, Trooper Ryan DeVault with the Iowa State Patrol. He's so good at that. I would love to have him back on more regularly, and we can talk about some of the different things that are going on. However, he did share with me that they can't prove that it's a direct correlation from the new law, but traffic fatalities are down over the last couple of months in Iowa over historically what they have been. So that is definitely good news. My name is Todd Studer. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning.